And we are going to discuss a number of items related to emergency and financial assistance. We have a lot of great speakers sharing resources here with us today, but I hope we also have a good amount of time in the center to have a discussion with providers within our community who are providing these services along with food assistance and how maybe we can better coordinate on those activities. Um, so I don't have any food council updates to share in June, but we will keep you posted on other activities coming your way. But if Leo Elias is here with us now, we can get started with our presentation from the Financial Empowerment Center.
Alrighty, I'm here.
Hi, Leo.
Hello. I'm just gonna share my screen quickly.
Yep, I'm making you a co-host, so you
Okay,
should be able to do that.
perfect. Thank you. Alrighty.
While Leo is getting ready, I'll just remind everyone, a while back in this call, we hosted the Gaithersburg Financial Empowerment Center, and that is only open to residents of the city of Gaithersburg. So we were just really excited to hear that a new one was opening up in the county that served all of Montgomery County. So we're really glad to have Leo with us today to walk us through that.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leo Elias. I am with the Latino Economic Development Center, and I'm just gonna give some information on both our organization and what we can provide, as well as the Financial Empowerment Center that we have in Wheaton. But I'm gonna just first start off with just my intro. My name is Leo Elias. I'm the Housing Education and Financial Empowerment Manager at LEDC. I've been with the organization for about 5 years now, five, maybe close to six now. I started off working with tenants who were behind on rent and utility payments during the pandemic in Montgomery County. And then I now moved on to leading and being more of a regional manager for a lot of our housing programs, as well as our financial empowerment program. So I'm going to go over just a little bit about the services that we provide, as well as our Financial Empowerment Center. Okay, so let's get started. So a little bit about LEDC, just about our mission. So our mission is to drive economic growth in our region by equipping individuals with the skills and resources to achieve financial prosperity through homeownership and building thriving businesses. We are a community development organization focused on economic development, and we focus on the financial health of the client. So I think you can kind of think of us as, you're going to a doctor, you might be going to a therapist for mental health. You can also come to us for financial health, because a lot of those things really coincide together. And so you can think of it as that way. Our services, so we provide financial empowerment, where I'll talk a little bit more in detail about that service. Basically, it is a growing program. I think it started about 2 or 3 years ago, and we're now continuing to grow out our program. We also have housing counseling, which is specific for those clients who want to receive homeownership assistance. Our housing counseling team also helps current homeowners, so not just homeownership, but also homeowners as well. So it's very comprehensive. Tenant services is the other team in Montgomery County that provides assistance for those who are behind on rent or behind on utility payments. That is still a program that we offer in Montgomery County, and we're continuing to offer. Our direct community investments team is a team where they do a lot on consumer building loans. So we are a CDFI, we're a community development financial institution. So we are able to offer loan products to the community. So you have like your regular banks, your credit unions, you have your CDFIs, and so that's us. We provide consumer loans, and I can talk a little bit more about that. But we offer that. through our direct community investments program, as well as small business development for entrepreneurs who have an idea but might not know where to start. We can help them with licensing, permitting, any of those things. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And finally, small business lending. We offer small business lending up to $250,000 for entrepreneurs in the DMV. Our locations, we have our Columbia Heights location in DC, which is our headquarters, but we also have two offices in Montgomery County. We have one in White Oak, and then we have one in Wheaton, which is our financial empowerment center. And then Baltimore City, we are in Canton, and then Virginia, we are in Arlington. I have a quick pop quiz for all of you guys. Does anyone know exactly where in Wheaton our financial empowerment center is? I want to see if anyone by any chance knows. You can put it on the chat. You can put it on the chat as well if you know exactly where it is. Exactly where it is. Perfect, perfect. Okay. You guys got it. You guys got it. So that's the next slide. Yeah, so we are at Worksforce Montgomery. So we are on the third floor currently. So we are right there, as you guys can see on the slide. That is actually where my main office is now. So I'm mostly there. And my coworker, his name is Robert Jerome, who's the financial empowerment coordinator, is there with me. And so I like to bring a lot of my team there to that office. And so we're on the third floor. We do serve walk-in and also virtual clients. Recently, WSEC had a program where if you were behind on your water bill, you were able to come to our office and we were able to assist you. That program just now closed last Friday, I want to say. But we are still serving those clients, even if we can't help them with the application for their water bill. We can still do financial coaching. Because one of the things that I think why it kind of resonated to us helping with the application was because we wanted to see exactly, if clients are behind on rent, on water, or on electricity, we want to know the why. Is it because of their financial health? Is there something that we can maybe discover and help them with? A lot of the time, a lot of our clients have very high credit card bills. They have high amounts of debt. And we want to figure out why, right? We are able to read bank statements. So we look at bank statements, we see where their cash, where is it going, how much they're receiving in income. We look at as well as their credit. We're able to pull credit, all three credit bureaus as well as a soft pull. And so we do that for a lot of our clients. It's a free service that we provide, and we're able to assist them to make sure that they can, eventually grow to where, they want to be later in the future. And so those are just some of the services that we provide on that floor. If you go to the first floor, they'll know exactly where we are on the third floor. The third floor doesn't have like a reception, so you will need to go to the first floor and then they'll give us a call. But yes, definitely we are there in Wheaton. A little bit about financial empowerment. I know I talked a little bit about that already. So we serve the entire county. Actually, we serve the entire county. We serve DC, Northern Virginia, Baltimore, and Prince George's County. Our main office is in Wheaton. Our primary focus is Montgomery County, but we can serve even people out of that jurisdiction. Um, One of the new updates that I'm very excited about the Financial Empowerment Center is that right now it is just myself and my coworker. We have started a volunteer program, and now we have volunteers that are going to be starting this week, which is why I'm so excited. On this Thursday is when I'll have the first volunteers who will also be assisting with financial coaching. These are volunteers that have gone through our training, they've gone through our orientation. They've gone through our background checks. They've done everything that we need to do to make sure that they are a good candidate for the community that we serve. serve. And so a lot of our coaches have years of experience, and we'll be able to open our books a lot more wider for more clients. Right now, actually, in May, all of May was booked like a month ahead. I think all of June is almost, it's basically gone. And so a lot of our time really is committed to a lot of those current clients that are scheduling, and we want to make sure we have enough time for everyone. So it's been a huge demand for us. And so we're starting that volunteer program. So when I send out the link, I'll send this presentation to Anne Marie as well, so we can distribute. You'll be able to find a way to message us or to schedule an appointment for a client. But essentially, on this slide you see here, we're really focused on two things: financial education and financial coaching. All of our programs under financial empowerment are free. So if you go through financial education, you can take any of our classes. We currently have classes on budgeting, debt, credit, fraud and scams. I'm adding two more new classes. I'm adding one on student loans. I'm not sure if you guys saw some of the changes that are happening in July. And so we're adding a new student loans class. And we're also going to be adding a new class, probably not end of this month, probably early July, but it will be all about car loans and repossession. That is going to be another new class as well. We've noticed that also a lot of our clients have trouble when it comes to cars. Sometimes they're not sure as to what is leasing mean, what is purchasing, and we want to make sure that clients know the actual cost of purchasing a car, because sometimes we forget about the maintenance, we forget about the insurance, and so we want to make sure that we teach that so that way we know how to budget that within our budget and within our means. And so we definitely want to work in providing that a lot more often. So we're going to be having a couple new classes soon. All of that is on our website and on the link that I'm going to send to you guys. So financial coaching, definitely we can assist anyone in one-on-one. If anyone wants to do a virtual appointment, an in-person appointment, they can give us a call at that number right below, the 202-655-4957, and we'll be able to assist those clients by making sure that they can get their appointment. But that's just a little bit about financial empowerment. We also have our tenant services and eviction prevention team in Montgomery County. They're mostly based out of the White Oak office, but they serve the entire county. They assist those who might have be behind on rent, behind on utility payments, code violations, conversion of affordable housing, loss of subsidy. And so this team helps them with any programs that might be available to help them apply for them. And we've been working actually a lot more closer with this program because we're also providing financial coaching as well. And so for those clients who might qualify for financial coaching, definitely we can assist them. There might be some more difficult cases, and so those clients will continue working with the tenant services team. But this is also a program that we are continuing to provide. Housing education and counseling. We also teach the education classes in Montgomery County. We teach them in person at WorkSource Montgomery. I just had two classes on Saturday. They were huge classes in Wheaton, English and Spanish. I have the space, so I'm able to open it up to a lot of participants. This is the class where they can get their certificate to apply for down payment and closing cost assistance. The reason why that's important is because I always say that taking my class gives you access to thousands of dollars because it is true. LEDC has a $10,000 down payment assistance program, which is a grant. It's not a loan. So it's not something that the client has to pay back unless they sell their home, let's say within like a year or less than a year. But usually that doesn't happen. Um, but nonetheless, we have that amount, 10,000 available in sustainable communities in Montgomery and Prince George's County. And by taking my class, it gives them the certificate in order to apply for that program. And so that is an internal program that we provide at LADC. We've had a lot of people from Montgomery County purchase in the past year or two. So that has been a really great program that we're continuing to to apply for funding. But also we can stack these programs as well with other down payment assistance programs, as well as MMP in the state of Maryland. So that has been really helpful with a lot of our clients. One-on-one counseling, clients can meet with us one-on-one as well. They can schedule an appointment to meet with a housing counselor if they have any questions. And yeah, if anyone interested in purchasing in Montgomery County, we can assist them as well. Homeowner assistance and foreclosure prevention, we also do foreclosure prevention work as well as homeowner assistance for those who are homeowners. We actually just received a new grant from Montgomery County government through the Chesapeake Bay Trust. We're going to start teaching new classes starting August, I believe. I have to look at my calendar. But it's going to be really soon. I can send that information as well. For homeowners who might be undergoing Ooh, sorry. For homeowners who might be undergoing issues with runoff water on their properties, there are different programs out there like Tree Montgomery or the Rainscapes program in Montgomery County. So we're going to start teaching classes specific on water, water usage, how to budget your water bill, as well as we're going to have conversations on drinking water, on how to make sure that you have adequate enough drinking water, and so we're going to provide a lot of those classes pretty soon. And so that goes along with a lot of the homeowner assistance and also foreclosure prevention. Those homeowners who are behind on their mortgage, we can help them with loan modifications as well. So that is something that we offer to homeowners who might be behind on their mortgages. And then the last two that I have are small business coaching. Again, this is just for anyone who might have an entrepreneur that is interested in small business coaching. This is a free service we provide. We can help them evaluate their idea, create a business plan, do online marketing, licensing and permitting, improving your credit, business financing. These are six of the main things that we can assist clients with. Um, Most of the time, right, they come with just an idea. They might say, I want to start a restaurant, but I don't know where to start. I don't have anything. Perfect. Okay, well, let's get started, right? These are the things that we got to do first, and then we help them along the way until they become a more solidified business. And so we can assist them in this way. And then the last one is our small business loan. This is our loan from 500 to 250,000 for our small business loan, for anyone who might need financing in order to grow their business, whether they want to, let's say, have one location and open another one. They might want to have a food truck to move to a brick and mortar, or they just want to get a food truck, right? We can assist them with those loans as well. And so that's just a little bit about the small business loans. And this is the final. Actually, two slides that I have, the LADC credit builder loan. This is more for consumers, so anyone basically. But this is a credit builder loan designed to help an individual build or repair their credit. So clients that we might consider credit invisible, or who might have very low credit, this loan can assist them with that. This helps boost their credit score through positive payment history, pay off any past due debt or collections under 2,500. And so the loan amounts vary from 500 to 2,500. You can kind of say it's very similar to a secured credit card. And so it's extremely similar, but one of the things with the consumer loan product is that they also get financial coaching. So they get that for free, of course, and they're able to talk to one of our financial coaches and meet with them one-on-one, to ensure that, they're continuing on with their payments. Our fixed interest rate is 4.5%. And then this is going to be the link to apply. Again, I'll send this over the presentation to Anne Marie, and we can distribute. And so this is the information here for our financial empowerment program. This is our phone number, our email. My team runs both of those things, the email and the phone number. So if you send us a message, we'll get it from there. And this is the QR code to sign up for our coaching and education. I will send this on here, on Zoom, on the chat, so that way, you guys can also have the link and sign up. And if anyone is interested in volunteering or knows anyone that might be interested in volunteering, I'll also put that information as well. And yeah, that is my presentation. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity. And I'll send that information to you all soon.
Leos, thank you so much. That was an amazing amount of information. And I will say, as just a precursor, I'm so glad we invited you today for many reasons, but also because in July we're going to be talking about social enterprise and resources that are available to food assistance providers who might be
Okay.
looking to work in that way. So this is a wonderful
Oh, wow.
future connection for that as well. Um,
Perfect.
I did see one question in the chat, but please feel free to, raise your hand
Mhm.
if you'd like to come off mic and ask your question. That is totally fine as well, but we can start with what's in the chat. So Pat Drumming was asking if the clients you serve, if they have to be in documented status.
So, we're not able to assist undocumented at the moment. We're only able to assist those who have a social security number or if they have an ITIN. We can. But with a lot of the services that we offer, it's very difficult to serve undocumented, especially if we don't have any of that information.
Understood. Dana's asking if you can share with the others
Yeah.
how best to refer people to you.
Yeah, so LADC to share with you all, we're also incorporating and kind of fixing our intake system. I do want to say that the best way to contact us, I'm gonna send it on the chat right now. That would be the best way to get to us, and if there's anything that a client needs, my team will be the one who can send it over to and do a warm referral to any of our other programs. So let me send that over to you guys right now. Yeah. So let me send that right now. Um, okay.
Pat, I see your hand up.
So my question is, what if you have an idea about a business, but you don't want to do the business, but maybe one of your clients might want to take on the task of that business? I.e., for example, I have this thought because
Okay.
there's so many food assistance providers around the county and other places. Maybe that person might be able to have storage space, may have a warehouse somewhere, and they can sort and pack. We used to be able to get pre-packed, shelf-stable, pre-packed all kind of vegetables, which we can now, but customize them to the way that we want or whatever, especially the shelf-stable and everything. Maybe somebody might want to do that business.
hmm
Maybe you might have somebody who'd be interested in it for the long haul, not just now, but maybe forever and ever.
Of
Just
course.
a thought crossing my brain. I don't have time for any of this in my life, but I think about it almost every day. It'd be great if somebody had a business. I could just place the order and get both of them and go. Whoa.
hmm
Pat, let's add that to our list of topics to talk about on the July call, maybe. Yeah, maybe someone will be inspired between now
Yes, let's hope so.
and
And to share with you guys quickly, so LADC, we did get a grant. Well, we got funding from Eva Longoria and with Chef Jose Andres.
then.
And so we do have a cohort that is open for um specifically women who want to go into become entrepreneurs specific to restaurants. And so that is a program that I believe has opened up. It will be on our website though, so you guys can also check that out.
Great.
hmm
There was another question in the chat around if you can assist with
That's
a
about
senior with
it.
looking to change housing situations. Is that something that you can connect with?
So, you know, what's really interesting is that in our financial empowerment center, a lot of the clients that we're seeing actually are seniors. And it is because retirement has been
Oh, Leo, I think we lost your sound.
Okay.
Yep, good now. Oh, nope, now off again.
Okay.
Oh, now I hear
Um, okay, perfect, perfect.
you.
Yeah, so for seniors, the best thing that we can do right now is possibly do financial coaching with them and just seeing where they're at. We have a lot of seniors right now who are over 70 working. And so it is something again that we're seeing. There's actually a couple, I love YouTube. There's these YouTube videos of some seniors who are over 70. And there's a guy who's said he's a PhD in mathematics, but just because you have a PhD in mathematics doesn't mean you might be financially literate, right? And so that is something that we are trying to tackle as well. In this case, financial coaching will probably be best. The coach will be able to assess what other program could they be eligible for. But if you might already have this person's information, you can give us a little bit more detail. I'm going to put my email on here. So if you guys have any questions, you can also email me directly.
Great.
Hmm.
I don't see another question in the chat, but I have a couple, if you don't
Okay.
mind, and
Yeah.
certainly others feel free to keep them coming in the chat or raise your hand. There's a lot of great information shared here. So I know you mentioned about there being a little bit of a wait list challenge issue with filling appointments.
Hmm.
You described a lot of different programs. Is it program dependent to wait for an appointment? Or can all of the counselors talk about all of the things?
So it is program dependent. So, for example, with financial coaching, we've been a little bit, it's been difficult with staffing. So
Mhm.
that's why we introduced the volunteer program. And so we are going to have a lot more openings soon. So I'm hoping to fix that issue there that we have. But for the other programs, they're a lot more available. And so again, if you fill out our intake, my coordinator, he will give the person a call, or if they sign up for a service, they can let Robert know,
Mhm.
and he will definitely make sure to send it over into my team internally. My team internally can make an appointment for the other program, so
Great.
they would just need to know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You also touched on two things that we talk a lot about in our
Okay.
community, and so would just love to, kind of glean some
Yeah.
knowledge from you. First, you mentioned, about this volunteer program, which sounds amazing. How did you engage, the community in identifying these folks and having
Yeah.
them interested, in this
Y-
program?
So, we are one of five financial empowerment centers. So, I know a lot of people know about the Gatorsburg Financial Empowerment Center. That really it's with an organization called Cities of Financial Empowerment. There are five central financial empowerment centers in the DMV. So, I represent Montgomery County. My other colleagues represent Prince George's, DC, and two in Northern Virginia. So the five of us are with United Way. So United Way Financial Empowerment Centers, these are the five.
Mhm.
And so we talk amongst each other and we try to figure out ways to be very creative and to increase the financial literacy in our communities. And so our Virginia FEC started a volunteer program. That's really where a lot of the idea took place. They now have about 90 volunteers that they see. So
Wow.
they can see probably three or 400 clients a month. And so they're growing very fast, right? That will be probably us within a year because I have about 20 volunteer applications so far, and I got about 20 about a week and a half. There's a lot of people in Montgomery County that want to volunteer, and so I'm here, open to getting volunteers. But I don't choose just anyone. I definitely would love to make sure that they have experience. All of our volunteers probably has a master's degree in finance, or they might be a CPA, or so forth. And so that's really where the program has started. And a lot of the volunteers have mentioned that they're interested in bettering their community by helping people with budgeting, right? Generally, that is one of the biggest issues, and so we are trying to reach the community with that. Now, in a lot of the conferences, there's a lot more talk about AI, and how AI is incorporating with budgeting, and there's different things out there, right? I'm making sure myself that I'm aware when I go to conferences, and just making sure that I'm bringing things back to the community that makes sense, right? Especially understanding the community, those who might be English as a second language, any of those communities out there. And so we're being very careful with it, but at the moment, we're very excited with the volunteers that we have, and what we're going to be able to do to incorporate that with our clients.
Thank you so much.
Hmm.
One last question.
Yes.
This is people are coming to you with being willing to share a lot of personal information, right?
Hmm.
Like this is very
Hmm.
sensitive, very vulnerable. Can you share a little bit about, have you found that to be a challenge at times? How are people kind of coming to you where there may already be some trust built into that process? Just
Yeah.
anything you can share there.
So I love it. I love that question. I want to say there are two main types of clients that we receive. We have a client who might be on the asset building track. They might have a pretty good credit score, good income, and they're willing to share their information. And we always say it's a practice for them to share their information, because when they go to a bank and they get a loan, they're going to need to share their information either way.
Mm,
So they can start that with us. A lot of that document collection is a good practice for them. And then the second batch of clients might be clients who have those high credit card debts. High credit card debt might have a savings issue. One of the things that we also see, especially in a lot of diverse communities, is clients sending money back to their home country, right? And so sometimes we don't know how to budget that effectively, and they just send it over. They're like, "Oh, my family needed this." That's okay. That's okay. But we need to budget this, right? Um, they might have a little bit more issue with sharing the information because of that, right? Our team is very culturally competent. We definitely know and we know the questions to ask and how to ask them, to make sure that, what they're sharing with us is not for our well-being. It's for theirs. We want to make sure that they are able to go onto the right track, and be able to own a home one day or to start a business, right? And so that is, I would say, one good strength that we have, that we can do that, right? But most of the time, the clients know that when they sign up for something, they kind of already know what we're going to ask them, right? So, unless this has happened once where we partnered with an organization, they had a cohort and they just sent us clients and they were just saying, like, "Oh, this is just a part of my requirement." I'm like, "Okay, well, we need to make sure that you understand why we're doing this."
mm,
And so we actually, talking about that, we can also partner with any organization. If you all have a cohort or you have a group of clients that might need financial coaching, one of the things that I've been doing is it could either be an MOU based, or we could just talk on a quick call to see how we can help serve your clients through financial education or financial coaching. So we can also offer that as well. We can do in person, virtual. I can go anywhere in Montgomery County. You let me know, and I can teach a class. So,
that's amazing. Leo, again, thank you so very much. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but feel free if anyone, has something that comes into their mind later on in the discussion, please include it in the chat. If Leo isn't able to stay that long, I'm happy to pass questions on to him. But again, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Anne Marie. Appreciate it.
Okay, turning over now. Kind of also a connection with financial empowerment. I'm going to turn things over to the community organizations active in disaster, or known as our COAD group. And joining us is Sareem Streater from the an emergency management specialist with the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Sareem, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm working off of multiple screens and
No problem. And Sareem, I just made you a co-host in case there were any slides that you wanted to
okay.
share.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'll just share. Give me 1 second.
Mhm. While Sareem is bringing those up, if there are any food assistance providers that are already members of COAD and you wouldn't mind sharing that information in the chat, please do.
Okay, if you can give me a thumbs up, whether or not you can see my screen, or if you can just confirm.
I have seen that you have started screen share. There it is.
Okay, on a delay.
Yep. Perfect.
Thank you. All right, so my name is Sareem Streeter. I'm an emergency management specialist with Montgomery County's Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, and I'm the program coordinator for our community organizations active in disaster, that group, and I'm also the lead for the county's Emergency Financial Empowerment Fund initiative. And I was asked to provide a couple of updates on both. Um, so I'll be doing that today. So I created a quick agenda, just a snapshot of like what we're going to be covering. So I want to talk a little bit about what OMHS does. My office will give an overview of the COAD. And I know Anne Marie mentioned that there's a couple of organizations that might be on the call that are part of Montgomery County's COAD. Um, and the quick overview of what our partners over at the Office of Food Systems Resilience and my office have been doing throughout this Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative, and can take questions for the end. So to provide a quick snapshot of what we do, so who is OMHS? Instead of listing out everything that we do within the county, I thought providing a visual representation would be better for people that are attending and for myself as well. So typically during events within the county, we support the activation of the Emergency Operations Center, which is in the upper left-hand corner, which is where the representatives from various Montgomery County agencies and municipalities and nonprofit organizations co-locate to share resources and request resources, provide situational updates on unplanned events that are taking place within the county. Think of the blizzard that happened earlier this year. We actually had to activate our emergency operations center over the weekend and into that Monday. We had about 8 or so Montgomery County agencies within that emergency operations center throughout the weekend. And again, focusing on supporting response and recovery efforts throughout the county and other situational updates that took place as well. Sometimes we deploy during events throughout the county to support first responders. We have a couple of programs that are under our belt as well. The Alert Montgomery system. So if you're receiving those internal and external alerts uh, on incidences that are taking place throughout the county, inclement weather, traffic incidences, Montgomery County closures, things of that nature. That's our office that's typically sending out those alerts, and our partners over at the Department of Transportation as well. We have the flood sensor program under our belt. We're in charge of the hazard mitigation plan for the county and the emergency operations plan, which outlines the roles and responsibilities of all Montgomery County agencies that are part of the emergency management group and how they would support mitigate response and recovery operations when necessary. We have a pretty robust community outreach program as well, where we go to community events, we do presentations, we host a series of events during National Preparedness Month. We did one last year. We had a pretty good turnout from Montgomery County residents and in the Wheaton area. And we focus on different hazards throughout the county, making sure that Montgomery County residents are aware of what's taking place around them so that they have situational awareness, um, what should be in their emergency plan, practicing their emergency plan in case they have to shelter in place or evacuate quickly, and making sure that they understand that having an emergency kit, and I'm taking you guys back to that incident that happened back in January, where there were a lot of residents that may have not been able to leave their home because of the snow incident and ice, the snow freezing over. So we want people to have an emergency kit within their home and in their car in case that they have to shelter in place for an extended period of time. And we go over what should be in that emergency kit as well. And I'm under the preparedness and outreach division, so I'm sure my supervisor will be happy that I share this with you. Again, as far as community outreach events, we like going out to the community to discuss best practices for emergency preparedness. So if there are community leaders, or if you're part of a house of worship or community club, and you believe that they would benefit from a discussion on emergency preparedness, if you go to your web browser, or go to our webpage, or go to your web browser, just type in OMHS, request a speaker. It'll send you to this page here. You just fill out this outreach interest form, and either myself or one of my colleagues will get in contact with the point of contact about organizing or coordinating the logistics for that speaking event or community event. And I wanted to provide a quick COAD overview. So what's the COAD? So it's managed by the Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. It's under my portfolio within our office, and it's a cadre of nonprofit organizations, faith-based organizations, houses of worship, for example, community-based organizations like civic groups, a couple of volunteer groups as well. And CERT, they're part of our COAD group, and private sector partners as well. They're typically activated, following an event within the county or leading up to an event within the county. And typically our partners over at the Department of Health and Human Services, they communicate with us to determine whether or not the COAD should be activated to support response recovery efforts within the county. So who are our partners? So I know I already mentioned that there could be a couple of partners on the call that are part of our COAD. Um, just to name a few that I've identified. So Manifood, they're part of the COAD, Shepherd's Tables, So What Else, Gaithersburg Help. So just to highlight a couple of organizations that have either been activated previously during response recovery efforts within the county or currently participate during our quarterly COAD meetings. So how often do we meet, and what's on our agenda? So this is just a quick snapshot of just that. So typically we meet quarterly. We just had a meeting on May the 20th, our last COAD meeting. I've had a hybrid meetings, in-person meetings, and virtual meetings where we get a better engagement with our community organizations during Zoom calls as virtual meetings. So we'll probably be doing that moving forward, just for the sake of consistency. Of course, the topics, they're dependent on preparedness, and not only preparedness, but preparedness, response, and recovery priorities for the county. And previously, we've had multiple trainings on the incident command system for the county, so that the COAD groups have an understanding of how we operate during when we're in our emergency operations center and when we're deployed. And we've had different speakers. I know the United Way of the National Capital Area, they spoke about their organization and how they connect residents with resources before, during, and after emergencies as well. So we've had a multitude of speakers over the last year or so. And this is just an overview of our standard agenda. So we do introductions at the beginning of the meeting. Our office or our partners over at DHS's mass care team, they provide situational updates. The COAD members, we provide them an opportunity to provide updates, whether or not there are different trainings they're offering, any exercises they're offering, any meetings that are coming up, things of that nature. a presentation or a training, an opportunity for Q&A, and next steps for the COAD group, depending on the nature of the meeting. And I typically provide a tentative date for the next COAD meeting as well. So why is the COAD group important? So I typically like to provide this type of snapshot, these headlines, just to demonstrate the breadth and the depth of events that have taken place over the last couple of years within the county that in which we've either activated the COAD group or COAD member organizations have been called upon to assist by other agencies within the counties to support impacted residents regarding events that have taken place. So of course, the government shutdown that happened, it impacted a ton of Montgomery County residents that were receiving SNAP benefits. The tornadoes, if you remember those a couple of years ago, there were hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage that impacted a large number of Montgomery County residents. And if you remember, a long time before I started, there was that Flower Branch apartment explosion that occurred within the county that left numerous people injured and tons of people without necessities after that event because they basically lost everything. I think that was one of the events where we worked with the Department of Health and Human Services. We determined that the COAD should be activated and in order to provide necessities for residences when we established the Family Assistance Center for them. So again, this is just an overview of of course, why we believe the COAD is important, why we want to have relationship with the COAD organizations, and just some examples of when we have activated the COAD as well. So what type of resources can the COAD provide? So just to highlight a couple of things, financial assistance, that's been a common thing, of course. Food supplies, that MANA and the American Red Cross, they've assisted with reception centers and shelter operations by providing meals for residents following unplanned events within the county. And we're extremely appreciative of that. A couple of other things, food, clothing, some damage assessment. We know we have a couple of community organizations that provide that as well. Spiritual care, that typically takes place during family assistance centers, especially for residents that are impacted by volatile incidences within the county. Hygiene products, emotional spiritual care, just to name a couple of things. So as far as strategic goals for the COAD group, these are a couple of strategic goals that myself and my supervisor have been working on over the last couple of months. For the fiscal year of 2026 and the beginning of the fiscal year starting in July, some of the things that we would like to start implementing as well. So just going over these three things. So starting off with that new COAD leadership structure. So the COAD has been led by myself over the last year or so. We have like an informal leadership process in place with our COAD group, but we would like to revisit that later down the line so that the COAD organizations can act a little autonomously outside the purview of the of Montgomery County government. And streamlining the COAD activation process. We've been implementing a new process over the last couple of months on how we should activate the COAD and when we should be activating the COAD so that we can ensure that we're communicating with them effectively and identifying what unmet needs are for residents that are impacted by events within the county, and ensure that the COAD groups have situational awareness of what's taking place and that they can also spin up those resources in case we need to activate them for a longer term. And one of the other things I would like to focus on is increasing our COAD bench. Is we've been a little bit stagnant over the last year or so, just because of like a lot of leadership or transitional phases within our office. And once we establish the new COAD leadership structure, we're probably going to be focusing on that, increasing the COAD bench as well. And again, I mentioned this before, but streamlining this process of the COAD activation. And again, that's something we've already done a training for this back in May. Where our COAD group are going to be receiving our COAD activation alerts to our Everbridge mass notification system. And we have an exercise that's scheduled later this month on Monday, June the 29th. between 12 and 2 p.m., where we're going to be going over that process and testing whether or not uh, the COAD members that have registered to receive the notifications are capable, that one, are receiving those notifications, and two, that they're capable of responding to those notifications as well in a timely fashion. So what's next for the COAD group? Again, I mentioned this before. We've already done the training for this COAD activation process. We want to start doing that annually as well on a recurring basis. And as new COAD representatives join our COAD group. I already mentioned the date for the COAD activation exercise, and our next COAD meeting. It's going to be on Wednesday, August the 19th, 2026, from 1 to 2 p.m. And it's going to be a virtual meeting. So if you would like to attend, send me an email. I'll have my contact information on the next slide, and I'll be willing to send you the meeting invite. So how do you join the COAD? So since I'm the program lead for the COAD, send me an email. There'll be a couple of things I'll ask for you to complete on your end. We have a capability survey so that our organization has an understanding of, what resources you're able to provide before, during, and after an emergency. We'll make sure that you're registered with the COAD activation alert system so that you know when we're activating the COAD. And we'll ask that you provide a blurb and a link so that we can add your organization's information to our COAD webpage as well. So I'll save some time for questions at the end. So I wanted to move into the Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative overview and updates. So our office, we're in the beginning stages of establishing, we're working on this Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative. We're receiving a grant through the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund. Leo mentioned that a nonprofit organization earlier, but it's providing $150,000 over a 2-year period, a 24-month period, and it's in 2 phases. We're currently obviously in phase 1, that exploration and landscape and plan development phase. There might be a couple of organizations that are on this call now that we've either sent our landscape survey to get some feedback on your level of involvement throughout this initiative, whether or not you guys provide financial empowerment resources or financial supports to Montgomery County residents. We've identified any gaps or any challenges that Montgomery County residents have experienced with receiving financial resources, financial supports throughout the county. And we've done a couple of one-on-one interviews with key stakeholders as well. And that phase 2 is that implementation phase. And once we get a better understanding of what we would like to, ways that we would like to bridge the financial empowerment world with the emergency management world, we'll start working on that implementation phase. And of course, we're part of cohort 2. The first cohort for the cities financial empowerment, it was obviously cities, and they branched out to counties throughout the United States. And it's obviously Montgomery County, Maryland, a part of cohort 2, Orange County, Florida, and Sonoma County, California, are part of cohort 2 as well. So I mentioned a little bit about the landscaping that we've done. So we sent a survey 2 months or so ago, late April, to 50 or so Montgomery County partners, and we received about 9 or so answers from those participants of those open-ended questions, just to get an insight of those organizations' connections to financial empowerment, financial supports within the county, their level of capabilities. I know that Leo mentioned financial counseling. So that's one of the capabilities that we would like to look into as well from Montgomery County residents as a whole. Financial support gaps and barriers within the county, network recommendations, and that pretty much helped us determine our next. I'm going to talk a little bit about the roundtables on the next slide, but the network recommendations helped us determine who we should be reaching out to in order to further our discussion about the Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier about the one-on-one interviews. So we talked to a couple of Montgomery County agencies and departments within those agencies, just again to get a better understanding of the services that they provide, those non-agency community connections, those nonprofit organizations that they provide referrals to for financial assistance throughout the county. To talk a little bit about the data collection so that we can get a better understanding of which populations throughout Montgomery County are impacted by emergencies within the county and further impacts their ability to be financially stable as well. And identified gaps. That's one of the major things that we wanted to focus on during the one-on-one interviews. So the roundtable discussions, we're actually going to have roundtable discussions the end of this week, so this Thursday and Friday, June the 11th and June the 12th at the Viz Art Center. I've sent a couple of invites to a few community partners that are on this call. It's going to be co-led by the City's Financial Empowerment Fund representatives and the three groups that we have a part of this series of roundtable discussions are county leadership, so those directors of county agencies, and the regional service center directives as well. The emergency financial assistance providers, so those like service providers throughout the county, some nonprofit organizations, some agencies that provide referrals to nonprofits as well that work closely with those nonprofits. And that third conversations will be with the financial empowerment centers, so like Gaithersburg, Tacoma Park. I think the Leo, you're going to be there as well, if I'm not mistaken. And some of the other municipal representatives as well. They're going to be a part of that discussion. And so what's next for the EFE initiative? So our partners over at the Office of Food Systems Resilience are going to be coordinating emergency financial empowerment subcommittee meetings. There shouldn't be a heavy lift. We just want to get some feedback and, of course, increase our engagement with our community partners that are interested in seeing this initiative succeed. Some stakeholder engagement meetings. We're going to continue one-on-one meetings with key partners that may not be available during the roundtable discussions later this week, and continued landscape and plan development. That's also a part of it as well. And I know I ran through a lot of information. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. And my contact information is here, and I've also dropped in the chat as well.
Thanks so much, Sareem. I see there's a question in the chat first, and then we'll go to Pat. Bethesda Help was asking if there were particular gaps in the coverage on your checklist, that you might want the community to be aware of. Oh, Sareem, you're on mute.
Sorry, I just muted myself. I was in the
That's
midst of
okay.
talking.
That's
I
okay.
apologize. You said, are there particular gaps in coverage that community members should be aware of?
Yeah.
Pat,
So
could you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
sure.
Hi,
Ron
Sareem.
had, oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Ron, go ahead.
Hi, Sareem. It's Ron. Yeah, I was just curious. You had one
Oh,
screenshot and it had a list of different things, so that's why I used sheltering of animals. Do you have a specific capability where you haven't found a partner that you're still looking for? You've got a lot of people on this call who've got a lot of connections across. Obviously, you had food and the needs for that, but are there specific areas on that checklist that you haven't identified partners that you really have as outstanding needs? Thanks.
that's actually a really good question, Ron. I think obviously, like food is one of the major things, and I think financial assistance as a whole, following events within the county, that's a major thing. I've talked to Christopher Burt, with the Department of Health and Human Services, their mass care. He's an emergency manager with HHS and is their mass care lead. Um, I think because of strained resources within the county and because of a lot of changes that have happened on the federal level, we're relying more on nonprofit organizations to help support response and recovery efforts within the county. And I think one of the things that we identified based off of recent incident that occurred was supporting, I guess, providing meals, identifying organizations that are able to provide meals quickly following an event. So if we need to establish a reception center or a shelter and it's a Friday afternoon at 4 p.m., and we understand that people have plans on Fridays, they have other responsibilities, they have jobs that, and they have children and any other thing you can think of. We want to make sure that, if we need resources that Friday night or to support resources Saturday morning, Saturday evening, that, you know, we have a list of organizations that can provide meals and water and things like that to support shelter operations. So I think that's one of the major things, just that time constraint. Well, one, identifying organizations that can provide resources within a short time period. And well, I think that's pretty much it, really.
Okay, that was great.
Just those
Thank you.
immediate
Appreciate that.
needs. Yeah, of course. No problem. I appreciate that.
I see Pat's hand up, so we're going to take that question and then we're going to move on to a continuing of this conversation around emergency assistance. But Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Sareem, that was really good information. Is there a way, a centralized way when the emergencies happen, i.e. the flowers explosion, i.e. Alive, the apartment complex, etc., that word can go out? If you're not part of the COAD, is there a central place we can call to say, okay, what else is needed, etc.? Because I know in the flower situation, people's hearts just open up and poured out. I know we provided part water. Chick-fil-A was providing meals, etc. We were coordinating with a lot of local partners here, but then we discovered there's so many other things going on. And I know a lot of people were collecting things. And I'll give you a very good example that it just so happened my husband was doing premarital counseling for the young lady that was the person coordinating all of this with the company that owned those apartments. And we were literally about to make a deal to get all these mattresses, right? And she just happened to come in and she heard me on the phone talking. And she said, why are you trying to get mattresses? Our company is providing all of this. We're providing furniture. We're providing lamps. We're providing linens. We're providing towels. Is there a central place, whether it's someone within COAD or something? Because even when the Alive thing happened, after that, we were getting calls from the residents and people there that are coordinating with them saying, hey, these people still need meals because they're in this hotel and they can't heat up the meals. They got a little microwave, but they can't cook the meals. And sometimes people give them gift cards, etc. Then we had a ton of people showing up that wanted to give money for Montgomery Housing Partnership, which they had us confused. Thank God we're honest people. Said, no, you got to go there and take all your tons of money. Is there a centralized place or number that those of us that are here that want to do something, if we know, it's not that we wouldn't want to help, but if there's a need and it's already being taken care of, or how we can find out who's on first, who's on second, who's doing what, then like the other question, if there is a gap, maybe somebody needs pet food. Rainbow has plenty of it most often, fresh pet. But is there a way we as a general, any nonprofit or any organization, maybe even a company, somebody that says, hey, we want to do something to help, where would they call? Would it be just called COAD Direct? How would we find that? Because I know with Alive, I was working with, I think, Campbell or somebody on that one, because there were so many different pieces, so many different stories coming from so many different places. And we were getting calls, to provide meals. And it was just kind of, if we had known this particular thing existed, entity, etc., is there a way? Not saying that we don't want to stop people from doing things, but if we needed to know, hey, is this already taken care of? Should we do another effort to do whatever, to help the people? And in most cases, I found, like I said, most cases it's the gift cards and the cash and many of them that will make a difference. But a lot of organizations don't know. Like Venice was collecting all these clothes galore and stuff. And, you think about the storage capacity for that. And if you didn't really need to do that drive for that, the time and energy could be spent to something else.
Yeah.
Long ask, right? For a simple question.
You're asking for a lot. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, you bring up a lot of really good points. I think it's not only Montgomery County. I'm going to answer your question specifically, but that's not only something Montgomery County struggles with. Donations management. It's kind of a headache for all counties throughout the United States. And one of the things that we typically push is, well, we want to obviously get ahead of like, any donations by sending out messaging. So we would typically partner with the Office of Public Information and some of the other agencies within the county to let residents know, if you're going to provide these resources, well, we would prefer like gift cards or cash. But two, if you're going to provide specific resources, we would tell you what we're looking for and which organizations. Um, I know that the Montgomery County Volunteer Center, they have a list of organizations that can receive donations as well. So we would work with them. On our website, we would also list what types of resources we're looking for throughout the county to support a specific event. And if you're with an organization, you're saying that you can provide, you mentioned mattresses before, maybe hygiene products, things like that. You can always send me an email, give me a call, and I can help coordinate, which what location those resources should be delivered to, and confirm whether or not other organizations are also providing those resources so that there isn't, redundancy. Um, so does
Yeah,
that
and
answer your question?
yeah, and the
Hopefully.
Food Council participates in COAD as well, and I know that we have shared, both opportunities in the past when they've needed assistance, as well as updates to let you know, that things are covered, because sometimes folks do, come to us and ask if there's a component that they can assist with. So that's great. Um, Sorry to do an abrupt change, but I want to be mindful of time. But Sareem, thank you so much for those resources. Please do send me the slides, and we will get those shared with members here, and let us know what plans are for the next meeting in case there are folks who would like to join the next cohort. That being said, I do want to transition over, but again, kind of similar connected theme here. We have a number of providers, in our food security community that also provide emergency financial assistance. We have programs that may be offering assistance with utility bills, rent or mortgage payments, doctor prescribed medications, medical expenses, childcare. And I've asked those who were within our community and able to join us today to please join and share a little bit, about what you are seeing in the space, what depth of need are residents coming to you with? Where do you feel that, you're able to meet needs, but where do you think that there are, you know, um, things that are falling short, or more opportunities, for maybe other organizations to participate and assist? And what is it that we as a community, might be able to do together, to kind of elevate these needs? Because we know that when folks are coming for food assistance, that's not the only, that's the thing that's bringing someone out, but it is not, the root of what's happening in their community. So I do welcome, I know that, Dana from Mum is here. I know, you know, Katie and Ruth and Ron from some of the help organizations are joining us today. I'm sure I'm leaving someone off of my list, but feel free to, come on camera and, come off mute. And if you just want to share, a little bit about the types of service you provide. I do just want to say one disclaimer, because I know many organizations may have already hit, their limits for the year or the month of what they're able to share. So this really is just kind of highlighting the need. Also, many of them do require that residents first go to DHHS or housing, to get a referral for these programs. So just want to make sure everyone feels safe, that we're not going to cause a big rush of referrals, and to areas where assistance cannot be offered. So Dana, I saw you come on camera. So if you're happy to kick us off and share, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Yeah, so Mid-County United Ministries, in addition to a number of people on the call, we're a part of the Emergency Assistance Coalition, which was started, I think, like 30 years ago, by a number of organizations that provide emergency financial assistance to people in different parts of the county. And we cover specific zip codes, and mostly we are covering um, utility assistance and eviction prevention assistance. And so most of the time, for most of us, including the county, people need to already have a disconnection notice. So just because they're behind on their bills, unfortunately, most of the time does not qualify them to apply for the emergency financial assistance. However, the county has programs that people should apply for that they can get, the EUSP, the electricity universal, anyway, the EUSP, and there are a couple of them through the all these acronyms, through the Office of Home Energy Programs, OHEP. People can apply for based on their income, and a lot of our clients would qualify for energy assistance each year. And then, so for the emergency, it's really people are coming to us when they already have a shut off notice, or I will say in the last few months, we have been seeing a lot more people coming to us when their utilities are already shut off. And then on the financial assistance side, most of us require that people already have been taken to court, have a court judgment, or a sentence, a court judgment, or an eviction notice. Again, we're all seeing people with very large arrears, and most of us suggest, if not some, actually require people to go to the Department of Health and Human Services to seek assistance. I know, the maximum for the county is usually $3,000. For most of us, the averages are around $500. And so when people owe several $1,000s, which is the case, it takes multiple organizations working together to try to prevent the eviction, first of all, and then try to get people to zero. I mean, our goal is to make people whole, to get people to the point where they have a zero balance, but that is not always possible. Sometimes we're just trying to prevent the eviction. I see Katie on there. Each organization does have some, sometimes different requirements. We have one of the things that does facilitate easier referrals, if you will, is we have a common community partners referral form, which when the county is often coming to many of us, they are doing an intake and they don't have enough. They will send this referral form with all of the supporting documents that we need to see people's, the bills, the ledger, an ID or something showing that they are, they live at that residence, and their information on their income. We also, I think what Leo was saying is so important, because so many people, it is also about looking at the expense side of things too. And so I think a lot of us try to refer people to financial counseling when we can, but a lot of times people are just in emergency mode and just trying to stay housed, or get their electricities turned back on or keep them on. One of the things we also point out, and why Mama Zoe has had a food programming for all these years along with it, is that if people can go to food providers like us and get food, that helps them have cash that they can then pay for their bills. And a lot of people are sometimes too proud, or they've said, well, no, I don't want to take food away from people who really need it. If you are about to have your electricity cut off, you need to seek the free food and use that money to help keep your electricity on or your rent paid. And so that is sometimes part of the conversation that we have to have with people. And so the bulk of our clients who, do come in for financial assistance will also go and shop in the pantry. And vice versa. We have a number of people who, because they come to our food pantry, also see information on emergency financial assistance programs and have become, clients. Most of us also only help people once a year. And those of us that are doing financial assistance, there is an emergency financial assistance guide that is put together by the EAC, which is chaired by Interfaith Works. And that's an internal document that is not to be given to clients, but we can share that. And we use it on a daily basis because many people call or email and they're not in the zip codes that we cover. And so then we provide information to them on which organizations they can go to. I think the biggest challenge right now is that there are whole parts of our county where there's not anybody that's really covering, or they have run out of money. And so it's it is not an equitable system. There are some places that have a lot more organizations providing assistance than others, which is really unfortunate. So I'm going to stop because I see Nico and Katie and others who are also part of the Emergency Assistance Coalition. Just to say, for MUM, we cover 8 specific zip codes there in the mid-county, sort of all the way up to Aspen Hill, a little bit of Rockville, a lot of Silver Spring, and Tacoma Park. But then there's the whole East County, which is covered by EMEAN, which is the Eastern Montgomery Emergency Assistance Network. I don't think they're on, but Katie and Nico, I think it's okay. I could put the EAC guide in the chat, but I just want to let people know, please do not share this with clients, because this is not meant to be something to give to people. Because one of the challenges we're also all facing right now, a lot of people are being given a list by PEPCO, sometimes by DHHS, and they're going down and just calling, and they're calling the wrong, nobody's telling them which agency covers which zip codes, and it's wasting everyone's time, and it's very frustrating for them, and it's very frustrating for us because we're trying to point them in the right direction. And I will just say that I think all of us have seen a huge increase in need this year. We have gone beyond what we budgeted in this area of our programming, and I don't think it's going to get any better. So I'll stop and let Katie and go, and I don't know, Katie Crump is also on here. I'm just looking for others.
Yeah, I will chime in that. Thank you, Dana. We are seeing a lot of the same things. I work for WUMCO, which is Western Upper Montgomery County. So we serve the western part of the agricultural reserve, a very unique part of the county for sure. And I will say for our organization, we don't limit help to once a year. Instead, we have a financial assistance cap for every family, for household. And what we're seeing is that people are reaching that cap very, very quickly now. Whereas before, maybe we could help with a couple of times during the year if there were a few things that popped up. Now, with inflation, people are hitting their limits quicker, is what we're seeing. But I really do like that our organization does food and financial assistance. Our organization also works to increase healthcare access in the western part of the county, because that's an issue out here, and organizes transportation because there's really no public transportation in and out of much of the ag reserve. So we work on that too. But I really like being able to do these different things that can help meet people's needs in different areas, and I feel like we can come alongside them. And so the food is a huge piece of it, like Dana was saying. But also, yeah, we are seeing people just reaching their limits financially and otherwise a lot quicker right now.
Thanks, Katie. Aniko, was there anything you wanted to share?
Okay, so Dana has covered most of it. We're very small. We're basically the city of Rockville with a little bit of Durwood, and we go down a little where we meet Bethesda Health. Yeah, there are coverage issues, like Dana also mentioned. So there's a part of 2850 that's Gaithersburg Help for Food, but they don't do financial. On the other hand, UMAN, Upper Montgomery Assistance Network, doesn't cover 2850. So we make exceptions in those areas. We historically did not require referrals, but for rent, at this point, we can really only help when, as Dana described, as different organizations, the county, city of Rockville, are all putting in their part, because otherwise our maximum is 250, 300 when things are good. So we can't really make a dent with rent. Otherwise, for utility, we just need the bill to be past due. It needs to say past due, and then we can help until we run out of money, which we're pretty close to at this point, until the county contract starts again, which we're hoping is soon, but we don't know when. And I think That's about it.
Is there any other organization on? I know Dana mentioned, not to put anyone on the spot, but Katie from Interfaith Works, or again, Ron from Bethesda Help, anything that you want to share, please feel free to join the conversation. Hi, Ron.
Hi there. Yep, Ron from Bethesda Help. I could just toss out that one we've been seeing, and I think Karen Frank has been on as well, who's been managing our operations and is on our management team as well. We've been seeing an increase even in post-COVID of about 12% per year per need for our service area, which covers everywhere, including parts of Potomac, all of Bethesda, Chevy Chase, Kensington, and parts of Silver Spring and Wheaton as well. So pretty large area. Um, and we've been seeing that growth continue. Now, we only are providing shelf-stable food, but our distinction is we provide delivery of that shelf-stable food. So we do believe that, there isn't one solution to food insecurity. We're all parts of the pieces of the pie. We're trying to touch the bases of the people who maybe can't make it to a food bank or a food pantry. They may have childcare issues. They may have health and mobility issues. They may not be by public transportation, or logistically, it may be hard for them just to get all of that food then back to where they're living. We don't, our requirement is pretty much give us your phone number, tell us your address, how many adults, how many children are aboard, and we provide you that shelf-stable food. And then we provide that up to 3 times a month, plus they get a food card so that they can take care of their incidentals. I like to make we don't provide dental floss, but if you have children and you have adults, you want them to be flossing their teeth. So, use that food card, and we give them that opportunity. And last year we helped just short of 9,000 people. We're probably going to be over that this year. So again, we're part of that, and that's why I think partnering with the Food Council and with the other providers is so important. We get good lessons learned out of it, and we also understand how other people are helping to solve these problems. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing, Ron. I do want to mention, just in the interest of time, again, I don't think we were going to solve all of these issues today, but at least wanted to highlight the resources that are available in the community, and also the challenges that you're experiencing. And Pat, I see your note in the chat. I do want to share, just at its most basic level, for those of you that are OFSR community food assistance grantees, we do have distribution lists based on, whether your presence and service area are the up county, the mid county, and down county. And I do encourage you to, use those lists to connect with each other. If you want to find other organizations in your area that may be interested in moving into some of this work, or if you feel like you have resources to share, as part of these programs, that is a good place to start. You can, of course, always reach out to me, to find out which organizations, are serving specific zip codes. I do have that desk guide that Dana graciously shared here, and, we can certainly help you identify. But I guess those of you, again, that are emergency assistance providers, I know you are meeting, together as part of the EAC, but if there's anything that our community, can do to be of assistance in coordination or making connections, we're always happy to hear those suggestions. So, but I think what we're hearing is just the need is so great, that one visit isn't going to be able to solve the problem here.
Yeah, and Anne Marie, I might just add, I think everyone should encourage people to go to THHS. They can help people who are not documented. They're only, if it is a federal program, is immigration status an issue. For anything that our county funds, that is not an issue. And so I think it's really, because a lot of time there are these programs that people sometimes do not know about, that they can actually apply for, and sometimes it's not very burdensome. And so really encouraging people, I know it's hard because people are worried right now for many reasons, but if they feel comfortable to go or call, or all of it's online. I think one of the challenges we all face is that many of our clients don't ever look online at all the resources that are out there. And that's the other thing, is just connecting them to other, what is there. And sometimes we've helped people with the applications ourselves, because they may not have a computer, they may not have a way to scan. There's a lot of our applications require a level of digital literacy and capability that often people do not have. So if your agencies are able to help people with filling out forms or uploading documents, that may be an additional thing that you can provide. But as Pat noted, yeah, it's like none of us have the staffing to meet the need. For sure, it's do what you can. But I do encourage people to call. We can encourage people to call 311 to go. There's lots of different programs within DHHS for all age groups. That's the other thing. There are some specific programs for seniors, and for those with disabilities and people caretaking. There's a lot of things that people just aren't aware of that are out there. And sometimes our agencies are the only touch point that people have. So the more we can give them information, the more empowered we are with information, the better we can be at pointing people in the right direction.
Thanks, Dana, and happy to revisit this issue in future calls. Pat, I'm just going to ask, just in the interest of time, we're at 2:27 and I have one more speaker. I'll ask if you could share in the chat. I'd appreciate it. I want to turn things over to Indigo Ferdinand, our client fellow with the, excuse me, get my title sections correct, with the Office of the County Executive. Indigo, please join
Thank you
us.
so much.
Thank you.
And it's funny, it's a coin toss if people ever get my last name right, and you said it perfectly.
Oh,
I
excellent.
appreciate that.
All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen in a moment.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see it okay?
Yes.
All right. Oh, I forgot that it like moves. Okay. So as she said, I am Indigo Ferdinand. I am one of the climate fellows for this academic year in the Office of the County Executive. This week is actually my last week. I'm also a third year going on fourth year Doctor of Public Health student at Morgan State University, where I also teach undergrads, and I'm a certified health education specialist. So it's been great to be able to combine climate and health, because that sometimes is a disconnect for people. So it's been really a great time being able to do this kind of work this year. So I'm here to share an extreme heat safety resource that we are hoping that we can get to the food distribution sites throughout the county to better reach the population. So the campaign's name is Be Cool Montgomery, and our tagline is Be Cool, Save Lives. Okay. So here is a quick overview. It's informed by the Maryland Occupational Safety and Health, MOSH, can't read, heat stress standard. And to summarize, it focuses on workers' rights to water, shade, and rest, and it does specify how much rest time per hour of work, and the amount of rest goes up as the heat increases. And some additional requirements included in the standard are acclimatization. For anyone not familiar, basically, if someone is new to the job, coming back from vacation, or maybe time off for other reasons, being in the hospital, etc., they need 1 to 2 weeks to readjust to the extreme heat that they would normally encounter at work. So you don't put them right back in. You have to give them increasingly strenuous work to kind of reach the normal standard over 1 to 2 weeks. There's also a requirement for heat safety training at least once a year and after every heat incident. And then also a heat safety plan, which details like who does what and how, basically, whenever there is a heat safety concern. And like all most health concerns, or like occupational health concerns, employees are able to file complaints. They can do that anonymously. They can do it by fax, by phone, in person, through a representative, etc. And that was especially important to us because one of our populations of interest does include people who might not speak English as a first language and or might have immigration statuses that can easily instill fear. So we wanted to make sure that, one, this law does apply to everyone that works in the state, regardless of status, but also that even if they needed that extra layer of protection or comfort, they can do this anonymously or through someone else. And it also protects against retaliation, which is also very important. The campaign itself was a collaboration or is a collaboration between county employees and community members. So some of the agencies, the main agencies, Office of the County Executive, Department of Environmental Protection, and Office of Emergency Management and Public Safety. Homeland Security, sorry, OEMHS. And this collaboration was through DEP's Climate Justice Co-Creation Initiative, which is community members of diverse backgrounds, places of origin, languages, religions, etc. And they were trained over some time to be able to interface with county employees to impact policy and programming through a myriad of avenues. And so there's this campaign, but there's also a project with like food security and gardening. Some of you may be familiar. And there's also one around flooding that I'm also working on. And so the campaign itself consists of virtual and in-person presentations. That includes presentations like this one, but also to CASA, which is an amazing immigrant rights organization. And we've done one with them so far in English and Spanish, and we plan to continue. And we were able to reach about 30 people from quite a few different countries that do indoor and outdoor work in the area. And that reminds me to add the heat stress standard does not only apply to outdoor work, it also includes indoor work, say a factory, a warehouse, industrial kitchens. So anyone who experiences extreme heat on the job. So back to the campaign. So also canvassing, tabling, podcast interviews, radio ads, a full website, newsletter articles, printable resources, and heat safety giveaways. So for example, with the CASA presentation, we gave away neck cooling fans, cooling towels. We also have water bottles that just got finished and a few other items that, because we want to educate, but also bridge that gap of like being able to prevent heat exhaustion or heat illness as much as possible. So speaking of resources, one of them is actually a supervisor checklist that helps condense the requirements from MOSH. But the one that we want to share with you all is our extreme heat safety flyer. So the example you see on the screen is one-sided bilingual for our really large posters. I just use this one so you can see it a little easier, but the version that we would hope to share with you is double-sided and it's 8.5 by 11, so normal sheet of paper. And one side is English, one side is Spanish. We do intend to expand to the other main languages of the county over some time, but we just couldn't with this time frame and the capacity of the team. But for now, everything we have is in English and Spanish. And as a way to summarize the flyer, it includes heat illness symptoms, so heat exhaustion and heat stroke, first aid protocols, workers' rights under MOSH, and contact or website information. The one of the biggest things to note is that while the MOSH heat stress standard specifically applies to people heat exposed at work, the information throughout the campaign is really for everybody. So that's heat safety education, especially related to prevention methods, little things like wearing looser clothing, lighter colored clothing, drinking more water before you're thirsty, etc. But also a big thing for me, and it's a big part of our presentations, like our longer presentations, is the health information for those living with different chronic conditions and who take certain medications. For example, something as simple as allergy medications, over-the-counter allergy medications can increase your heat risk. And these are topics that not everybody knows or has heard of. So I just want everybody to be okay. So that's definitely been a big focus of our campaign. And it's not on this particular poster or flyer, but with the QR codes to our website, they can find all that information to help them better understand their needs and their risk. And they can then talk to their healthcare providers of what they should do about their medication or their needs. And so the amazing food security network throughout the county, we just knew it would be an excellent way to reach people where they are, where they feel safe, where they're comfortable. And we're hoping that you guys will want to share this flyer with your populations that you serve. So if you are interested, here are some details. Please contact Adriana Hochberg, and that is her email address there. Please contact her at least one day in advance. And when she has it ready for you, you would pick up the flyers at the Montgomery County Executive Office Building, or some know it as EOB. And there's the address. It's on the second floor, and it will be right there for you in the lobby. And EOB is open Monday through Friday at normal business hours. There's a cap of 500 flyers per organization, at least for like this year. And then next year, if you're interested in doing it again, I'm sure that you can always pick it up again. So again, thank you very much. There's Adriana's name and email address again. And here are the QR codes for the Be Cool Montgomery website, which is our campaign under the county government, of course. And then on the right is the Most Heat Stress Standard website. Of course, there's a way to get to all their other information, but this QR code is specifically for heat stress. And towards the bottom, we have an event this Thursday. So we had our Spanish launch event this past Friday, and then we have with English interpretation available. And then so this week we have an event on Thursday, June 11th from 3 to 4 p.m. in English with Spanish interpretation available. And if you scan the Be Cool Montgomery QR code, it'll be right at the top for you to register. It's on Zoom. And one of our special guests is Christina Campbell, and she's essentially the person in charge of these kinds of things for industry safety. So thank you very much. Are there any questions? I hope I wasn't speaking too quickly.
No, perfect. Thank you, Indigo. And so Ruth, your question got answered as to how you get the flyer. We have also shared electronic versions of the flyer. So for any of you that are communicating, with clients or your volunteers electronically, that's a great way to get that out as well. If you can't get enough copies on hand or don't have the immediate time to go in person and retrieve them. But thanks, folks, for sticking with us. Again, we will have our next call in July, where we'll be talking about social enterprise and resources from various chambers of commerce and other organizations that also serve nonprofits as small businesses. So hope that you can join us then. And again, thank you to all of our speakers. We will be sure to share out slides and the recording and notes. Just thank you so much for everything everyone does, and we'll see you next month.